friends, and welcome to card 9 of my fall series for this year. Today I want to share with you how I created this really cute thank you card featuring some great products from Honeybee. So let's get into it. I'm going to be using the Loads of Fall stamp and die set, as well as the Thanks Honeycut and stamp set. These items were a part of their Autumn Splendor release, and I was so excited to use them. I wanted to use the Loads of Love stamp set in a way that you didn't have to use the truck. I immediately thought of this whenever I saw this stamp set. I thought, I don't have the truck. I got it anyway, but I wanted to be able to use this in a way that I didn't necessarily have to use the truck. The biggest reason I got this stamp was because of the dog, because it reminds me of my puppy and I really wanted to use him, but I also wanted to use the other elements in the card or in the stamp set a different way. So what I'm doing is I'm taking some Bristol paper here and I'm just stamping it down with some VersaFine ONYX black ink because I want to watercolor these. Again, I've been practicing with my watercolors and I wanted to try it here. I thought Copic markers would take too long and I felt like colored pencils would take even longer. So I thought, well, why don't I do some watercoloring? I'm going to clear emboss these images so that it kind of helps me with the watercoloring, kind of traps some of the traps some of the watercolor inside of the image, and it kind of just helps you with a little bit more control. And I'm just using some Ranger clear embossing powder, and this VersaFine ONYX black ink is a pigment ink, so it stays wet for a while, so doing embossing over top is really helpful. And you could have done white embossing, you know, anything like that, but I really wanted you to be able to see all of the detail in these cute stamps. I'm going to be using my Gansai Tambi watercolors. And again, I'm still new with this, I'm practicing, and what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to put on some music, let you watch all of the coloring, and when it's finished, we'll come back and finish up this card together. once all the painting was finished, I used the coordinating dies and cut out all of these sweet little images. I just love how these turned out. They're so vibrant and fun. We're going to work on the rest of the elements of our card. I'm going to be doing a top folding landscape style card. I usually do portrait style, but I felt like with all of these images, a landscape would be a better fit. I am also going to be using some Neenah Desert Storm cardstock. This is one of my favorite cardstocks to use for the fall, if you haven't picked up on that already. And I'm also using some of this Woodgrain cardstock that I got from Simon, and I just used my Waffle Flower die, A2 size dies to cut out these different sizes. Next, we're going to get our main sentiment together. This is the Thanks Honeycut. This is from their newest release, and I just love this die. I love how this whole thing came together. I love this nice kind of dark, moody red that I found in my stash. I think this is from I think it's from Hero Arts. I'm not really sure where I got this cardstock from, but it reminds me of the cranberry cardstock from MFT. This might be what it is, but there are so many wonderful reds out there. I wanted a nice rich red. I didn't want anything really bright like you would get from a schoolhouse red or anything like that. So I love how this turned out. It really goes with my color combinations, and I just used some of this Barely Art adhesive. This has become my new favorite adhesive. It sticks really, really well. I haven't had any problems with it, and it's really easy to work with. Got those two die cuts put together, and then we're going to work on the outline. These honey cuts come with two different outlines. You have this one here that I'm using, and then there's another one that's a little bit larger that has some piercing details. I didn't want to use it on this one. I felt like it would kind of take up too much of, like it kind of would be a little bit too large. So I just decided to go with the first one, and I cut it out 3 times out of some Simon Says 110-pound cardstock. I wanted to have a really nice, thick dimensional die cut here. Just to give it some dimension and some interest. I didn't want to use any foam tape. I ordered some more foam tape. I was waiting for it to come in, and I didn't want to use up all of my Derice foam strips to add dimension. So just layering up some cardstock is a great way to add dimensional die cuts to your cards. And I love the red on the white. It helps bring the white back in from the card base. And just adding little dabs of glue along the thicker portions of this die cut. You don't have to put it on every individual piece, just on the thicker areas, because that's what's going to hold down even better. And I got this lined up really, really well. And I do apologize if my head gets in the way. I wanted to get right over top of this to make sure that I got it perfect on top of that little outline. Next, I wanted to add a little bit of color to this Woodgrain cardstock. I wanted it to kind of look like a sign or a crate that maybe all of these pumpkins and leaves might be falling out of. That was kind of my thought process. So I'm just taking some brushed corduroy and a wood stain and going around the edges and just adding a little bit of interest to this Woodgrain cardstock. This Woodgrain cardstock is so nice. It's really etched deep, and that detail really pops out. I wanted to add a little bit of splatter to this, again, just to add some interest. I think it adds to like the wood, a feel that I'm going for. And just hit it with my heat gun to make sure it was nice and dry, so we didn't have any ink getting everywhere. And then I just took the brushed corduroy and went around my other panel here, just again to add a little bit of interest, kind of tie everything together. On the inside of the card, I wanted to take the bunch of leaves, or I guess it's a pile of leaves, from the same Loads of Love stamp set, and I wanted to stamp it on the inside of my card, but I wanted to do it in a nice light gray. As you know, this is my favorite way to add something to the inside of a card that you can still write over but adds to the card. And I'm just going to line that up, and I wanted to have it kind of go as a row all the way across the bottom, but I didn't want to have like overlapping leaves where it looked kind of funny, so I just stamped up a portion of it, and I kept getting like closer and closer to where the other pile of leaves were, and it turned out great. I love the look. It would be a really cool kind of card idea on the front is just to kind of maybe cut out a mask and do leaves all the way up the card. That would be a pretty cool idea. Now we can assemble our card, and I wanted to make sure I got that little wood piece nice and straight, and I'm going to use some Darice foam strips. I probably could have just stacked up a bunch of cardstock with this, but the dimension I wanted so I could tuck in all of the little images around it, I wanted to make sure I had really good dimensions. So I just used some of my Darice foam strips, and I'm going to use my T-square ruler to help me get this lined up perfectly in the middle here. I didn't want it to, it's kind of hard to line up this smaller die cut with the larger one just because it's such a smaller size, and the T-square ruler really helped me with that. Now we can go along and start filling in our scene here. I sped this up quite a bit because I fiddled and fussed for quite a long time, and I didn't want to take up too much time, but this is the end result that I came up with, and now I can start adhering everything down with that same Barely Art liquid glue. And this really didn't take too long. Once I had everything where I wanted it and just went around and kind of layered the images on top, it went together pretty quick, and I love how this turned out. It's so cool. I love being able to use the smaller images in stamp sets and utilizing them in a different way, and this turned out perfect. I love Honeybee, some of their stuff that they've come out with. I've only ever purchased a few things from Honeybee, and I'm definitely going to be purchasing a lot more. So many cute things, and I love all of it. I wanted to add a little bit more to my greeting. I wanted to say thanks for everything. So this could be, you know, a thank you card for any occasion. I like adding it as a fall thank you card. It doesn't have to be, you know, a Thanksgiving card or set aside for anything in particular. And I'm just using some of that same VersaFine ink to stamp that down. I'm going to cut it out using some of these sentiment strips. And I'm going to ink blend over top of it just to kind of add, again, some more interest, to kind of tie it all together. I didn't want to have it super white. I felt like it stood out too much. So I just took that same brushed corduroy and just ink blended it along the edges. And then we're going to glue down our sentiments. Again, using that Barely Art adhesive. And I'm going to line that up along the bottom edge of our wood grain panel. Super cute. Now I'm going to do something super scary. I'm going to splatter white gouache, this is from Winsor & Newton, all over my card. Sounds really scary. I've seen a couple of crafters do this before after they were all finished, and I love the way that it turned out. Again, really scary, but I love it. I love the way that it looked. I think it added, you probably could have done maybe gold. I think gold would have looked really cool as well. But I like the white, and I think it adds to the card, adds, you know, just a little bit more interest. Next, I took some sequins. These are just some silver sequins that I found in a pack through my stash. You could use any sequins that you wanted. I just wanted something that was a little bit kind of shimmery and shine to add to the card, but not take away with any color. So that's why I went with these little silver ones. Darice makes really good ones, so does Pretty Pink Posh, so you can find any ones that you'd like. And then I'm going to add a little bit of sparkle, like I always do with my glitter brush pen, just along the thanks die cut and on some of the pumpkins. And that will finish up this card for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love these new Honeybee products. I hope you do too. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more, hit the subscribe as well as that little notification bell, because it will notify you every time that I upload a video. And with Stamptember going on right now with Simon Says Stamp and all of these other amazing companies coming out with some amazing products this month, you're not going to want to miss out on any of the inspiration that I share here with you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you guys again real soon. Bye! On screen, I've got a few videos that I think you'll enjoy. Consider hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more videos at my YouTube channel.